analysis, your cause, and Richmond always come first. If it's making headlines locally or nationally, we're breaking it down. Now,
Take my talents to South Beach.
live from the capital of the Commonwealth, Fitz the Bill, with your host, Jack Fitzpatrick.
Good morning. Good Wednesday morning, September 24th. Welcome in to Fitz the Bill. Appreciate you clocking in, getting your day started with us right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, the ESPN Richmond app, and of course, ESPNRichmond.com. And we are streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want to watch the stream, just type in ESPN Richmond in the search bar. We'll pop right on up, and you can watch live. You can comment, like, and subscribe as well over there. And drum roll, please, because we got our phones fixed after having some weird issues with our phones the last 2 days. We've got them fixed, so feel free to call or text in throughout today's show, 804-327-0888, and you can be part of the show this morning. And of course, you can text. We love texts, and you can do that throughout the show. That never broke, but our phone lines did unfortunately break. We're going to go out immediately to start this morning. We are joined now, Dr. Corey Resnick from Ortho, Virginia. He's taken some time out of his morning to join us and talk a little bit about some hip injuries this morning. Doctor, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We're talking a little bit about hip injuries. So that's the fun thing of it. And with Jayden Daniels, and we're diving right on into everything that's happening. And I know you don't work with Jayden Daniels, just coming from a place of expertise, but the knee and hip seem to be kind of somewhat aligned. How could playing on an MCL sprain in the case of Jayden Daniels potentially go on to impact his hip?
Yeah, so certainly a lot of this is like indirect effects. So a lot of the muscles that you use for your knee or your hip cross both joints or sort of start by one and end up by the other. And so certainly if you're compensating for an underlying knee injury, it could certainly throw off the way that you're weight bearing through your hip and can aggravate things around the hip as well. And so there's very few movements that athletes do, people do on a normal basis where you're moving your knee sort of independently of your hip. And so certainly if one is not correct and there's an injury with one, it can certainly lead to some issues with the other.
So with that, so far in the NFL season, knock on wood, there haven't been a ton of hip injuries. You kind of talked a little bit about how the knee and hip work together there. But in total, how do you typically see a hip injury occur?
So probably in sports, in football in particular, a lot of it is either like a strain or a tear. So like football is an explosive sport. People are starting, stopping, cutting, doing things like that. And so whether it's a hamstring injury, a hip flexor, things like that are things that you could strain, you could pull, you could tear. Additionally, things like direct impact. So helmet to the hip area, shoulder pads to the hip area can all cause things like hip pointers. People will get some contusions or bruising of the bone around the hip and lead to sort of other areas like that. Those are probably the more common ways that people get injured there.
Dr. Corey Resnick from Ortho, Virginia, joining us this morning. And Dr. Resnick, can you explain what a hip pointer is? Because I think we see that a lot popping up on injury reports. What is it? Just a fancy word for a bruise? I know you said contusion. What exactly is a hip pointer?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that, it sounds like a big fancy word, but basically it's a bruise of the bone, sort of around sort of the top part of the hip. And so it might be an area that, might be a little bit undercovered with pads. And so people take a direct shot there. That can lead to something that is more painful for a longer period of time than if it was, something more sort of in the muscle. Like a deep bruise can certainly be painful for weeks, sometimes even months.
I think we need to change the name of that and then turf toe as well.
Exactly.
Turf toe sounds so nice. And it's like a tear of ligaments in your foot. That just sounds horrible. We need to go on a rebranding mission for those two. In the case of NFL athletes, and as a reminder, you're not treating the NFL players, just sharing the knowledge. What types of hip injuries should football fans be scared of when their favorite player may get a hip injury? Because it just all seems so like a hip pointer, like you said, it seems so like, oh, that's fine. A hip bruise, that's fine. But when it pops up on an injury report, what type of hip injuries should a football fan be worried for their favorite player?
So I think sort of the two big categories of things to be concerned about would be things like inside the hip joint itself. like the ball and socket aspect of things, where you could have a cartilage injury, you could have a labral tear, which is kind of like the outer lining that sort of provides like a suction fit and keeps sort of the femoral head, the ball in the socket. That's an injury that would be fairly serious for an NFL athlete. Additionally, anything if it's not like a strain or a sprain, but is listed as being a tear, that would be more concerning and potentially, longer time out and, potentially something that was operative.
Dr. Corey Resnick from Ortho Virginia joining us on this Wednesday morning. And how do you go about examining an injured hip?
Yeah. So a lot of it depends on the situation they're in. If it's, something on the field versus in the office or the sideline, like if you're on the field, a lot of it is going to be quicker. Like your goal is to get the person safely off the field, assess, quickly, is there a concern for a break? Is this person able to weight bear? When you get them to the sideline or the office, the exam can be a lot more detailed, looking for deformity. Does it look like the leg is crooked? Does it look like there's a lot of bruising, swelling, things like that are abnormal? And then a lot of it is done on an examination table with the patient flat, and you can really test range of motion, strength, and sort of get a sense of, is this injury something inside the hip joint itself, or is it more the surrounding soft tissues, muscles, tendons, things of that nature?
What are the most common hip injuries that you come across?
So in my practice, I deal a lot with hip arthritis. And so it's a lot of degenerative, chronic overuse injuries where people, they get a lot of cartilage injury over time. And that's essentially what arthritis is. With that, a lot of times people have associated tears of their labrum. And so depending on if there's arthritis or not, a labral tear in isolation is something that you could repair or you could debride in younger patients. If it's older, a lot of times that's something where we're talking about a hip replacement. But otherwise, the sort of soft tissue aspect, so not in the hip joint itself, but surrounding, is very, very common. People get bursitis or inflammation of some of the areas around the hip, and that can be very, very painful. And it's probably one of the more common things that I see.
What are the differences in a hip injury compared to an athlete, an NFL player, or even just any athlete of that sort, and say me or just a normal person?
Yeah, a lot of it is truthfully, a lot of the injuries themselves are not necessarily different. The mechanisms are going to be different. So it's probably going to be a higher energy for an athlete. Like, again, the explosiveness and sort of the rapidity and the repetitiveness of the muscle firing. But a lot of it is like the expectations, I think, of the patients. Like you or I may not have the desire or motivation or need to get back super, super quick. And so I think like the intensity of the rehab is a lot more in an athlete.
And how do you assess whether or not it needs to either be a surgical procedure to fix an issue or it's non-surgical? How do you go about kind of deciding those two routes?
So most things we try to treat without surgery, because if so, it's sort of the less risk associated with that. And a lot of times it's all that people need. And so, but if people are failing what we call conservative treatment, where it's, physical therapy, medicines, sometimes there's a role for injections, then sometimes it needs more advanced imaging. Like if what we're seeing in clinic or on exam isn't matching up with how the patient is doing, sometimes it needs, an MRI or a CT scan to take a better look at either the bone, muscles, the labrum, things like that. And that can help guide our decisions.
And with hip injuries and things of that sort, how can you go about maybe preventing a hip injury? Because especially for athletes, because it seems like a lot of it may just be you get hit at the wrong time in the hip, and that brings out a contusion, a hip pointer, things of that sort. But for the more, I guess, inside, like with the actual hip itself, how do you prevent those types of injuries?
I think it's hard. I think a lot of it can be sort of as you were sort of alluding, or like, in simplified terms, can be bad luck. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong positioning can cause these things to happen. But the things that people can do is try to build a solid foundation, and sort of, it starts with, probably what people were told, whether or not they wanted to do it or not when they were growing up playing sports, but warming up and cooling down are very, very important. Like, nobody wants to do it, but it makes a big difference in sort of loosening things up, both on the front end and the back end for injury prevention. I think cross training is important. I think if you do the same things repetitively, the muscles that are not involved in that particular activity are not going to be used as much and are probably more prone to be injured. And so I think, being diverse in sort of the physical activities that you're doing, even if you're an athlete, but sort of on the, in the off season, things like that, I think can be very important. But I think also, like, knowing your own limitations, and, there's that mantra that you want to sort of play through it, but sometimes that's not the best thing. And like a short period of time where you're not playing or resting to prevent more serious injuries down the road sometimes is probably the best way to prevent bigger things from happening.
Dr. Resnick, you brought up the cool down period, the warm up and the cool down. I go to F45. I do my warm ups. I do the stretches, do all of that, but I always skip the cool down because I'm like, I just finished a really intense workout. I don't feel like getting on the ground and doing more stretches. Why is a cool down important?
I think it's important because I think it prevents those muscles from really getting tight sort of on sort of the back end. And so you've worked, you've warmed up, and then there is sort of slowly cooling those muscles down and sort of stretching them that second time, I think can be very, very helpful.
That makes sense. You've convinced me a little bit. And here, I did notice your Colgate lanyard.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, I went to JMU and my JMU career was bookended with Colgate beating JMU in the FCS playoffs. But since attending Colgate, are you exclusively a Colgate toothpaste guy, or do you still use Crest?
It's hard to buy Crest in the supermarket when when you have that. I don't know if one's better than the other, nor it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I probably definitely more inclined to get Colgate toothpaste.
I'm always curious with that with Colgate alums. Dr. Resnick, where can listeners go to schedule an appointment at Ortho Virginia for hip injuries, concerns, and everything like that?
Yeah. So Ortho Virginia, our website, great place to start. Definitely has information about phone numbers you can always call to set up and schedule an appointment. Also has avenues for patients to schedule appointments online for both new as well as pre-existing patients. Awesome.
Dr. Resnick, thank you so much for taking some time out of your morning to chat with us. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.
You as well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. There goes Dr. Resnick from Ortho Virginia, taking some time out of his morning to chat with us. Thank you again to him. As a reminder, doesn't work directly with any athletes mentioned. He was just providing expertise on the matter. Dr. Resnick specializes in knee, hip, and joint replacements. You can find out more at orthovirginia.com. All right, now it's time to update you with what you may have missed in the wide world of sports.
Your Fitz the Bill morning update. Getting you caught up on some of the biggest stories in sports.
All right, the New York Giants announced yesterday that rookie quarterback Jackson Dart will take over the starting duties from Russell Wilson. Wilson coming off of a disappointing performance against Kansas City, which opened the door for Brian Daboll to make the change. In Houston, the Texans released C.J. Gardner-Johnson just 3 weeks into the season. Rumors were swirling on social media as to why, but the Texans are pointing to low production and an inability to pick up the DeMeco Ryans defense. The Texans are 0-3. Staying in the AFC South, the Titans traded one of their starting cornerbacks, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., to the Jets. New York acquired Brownlee and a 7th-round draft pick in exchange for a 6th-round draft pick. The Titans also made a change with their coaches. Brian Callahan, the head coach of Tennessee, announced he'll be giving up play calling duties. He'll hand off those duties to quarterback coach Bo Hardigree. Mike Evans, who injured his hamstring in Sunday's game, is expected to miss at least 3 weeks. Evans missed 3 weeks back in 2023 with the same hamstring injury. Drew Brees went on First Take for the first time and got right into the swing of things. Brees called out the Eagles' offense, saying it's boring, and when mentioning some of the quarterbacks that he has seen as top performers through the first quarter of the season, he did not mention Jalen Hurts. In the college football world, longtime Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy was fired yesterday. Gundy was off to a poor 1-2 start, no wins over FBS teams this season, and no wins in quite some time over FBS teams for Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State. The most recent loss was an embarrassing home L to Tulsa. Gundy was the coach at Oklahoma State since 2005, had a career record of 170-90 at his alma mater. He posted winning records every season from 2006 to 2023, but had losing records in his final 2 years. At Oklahoma, no state this time, it was announced that John Mateer will need hand surgery. According to Oklahoma, he broke it in the game against Auburn, and he'll undergo the surgery with no exact timetable being announced from the Sooners. In MLB, robot umps are here. MLB will implement a new challenge system for balls and strikes next season after the league's competition committee voted yesterday to usher in the era of robot umpiring. This follows about 6 years of testing through independent leagues and minor leagues, as well as testing it out during spring training and the All-Star game. MLB will go ahead with the system that gives teams 2 challenges per game. And unfortunate news yesterday as Rudy Johnson passed away at the age of 45. Johnson was a standout running back at Thomasdale High School, went on to play collegiately at Auburn. He was a 4th-round draft pick, and he made a major impact for the Cincinnati Bengals. From 2004 to 2006, Johnson averaged 1,407 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. He made his first and only Pro Bowl in 2004, where he rushed for 1,454 yards, a franchise record. And then he went on to break that franchise record by 4 yards the very next year, and that record still stands for the Cincinnati Bengals. Our thoughts go out to Rudy's friends and family.
Traffic reports on 106.1 ES. Plumbing, heating, and cooling. A premier Linux dealer. Online at HermanAllenPlumbing.com.
World Class Courts is proud to be a featured sponsor of the 2025 River City Tennis Open, October 3rd to 5th at the University of Richmond West Hampton Courts. We specialize in providing everything you need for any type of tennis court, whether it's clay, hard, or hybrid surfaces. As a manufacturer and supplier, World Class Courts offers surfaces and equipment for every kind of tennis court. We invite you to come and see our recent resurfacing work at the University of Richmond. For more information, visit us online at worldclasscourts.com.
Are you suffering from a sports injury, chronic pain, or something that just plain hurts? Ortho Virginia can help get you on the road to recovery. As the state's largest provider of orthopedic care, Ortho Virginia's team of specialists offers surgical and non-surgical treatment options. With 12 offices conveniently located in the Richmond area, visit orthovirginia.com or call 804-915-1910 to discover why at Ortho Virginia, stronger starts here.
When flying out of Richmond, just park and go. Richmond's Park and Go provides door-to-door shuttle service to the terminal, so there's no waiting, no hassle, and it's safe and secure. You can reserve your Park and Go spot in advance at bookpark.go.com or just download their app in the Play Store. They're ready for you 24/7, 365 days a year for your airport parking needs. Park and Go is also hiring for overnight office work and weekends. Call 804-652-2150 and ask for Greg or Carol.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1783. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1783. That's 800-575-1783. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Soccer and RVA is winding down with just 2 regular season home games left this year. Make your plans now to catch the next Richmond Kickers home game, Saturday, October 4th versus 1 Knoxville SC. Help celebrate another great season with our annual RVA Craft Beer Festival, featuring local craft brews at City Stadium, presented by Bon Secures. Stop by early for happy hour beverage specials and RVA's best local food trucks. Reserve your tickets today at richmondkickers.com. And don't forget, at Kickers games, dogs are always welcome.
PGA Ryder Cup leaderboard updates are brought to you by Richmond Richmond LSV's Fall Bentelli sales event now through October 31st. Low-speed vehicle special financing details online at richmondlsv.com.
1061 ESPN Traffic.
Expect slow-moving traffic heading north on Parham Road between September Drive and Patterson Avenue. There's been a crash on 21st Street at Main Street. Some delays heading west on 64 between Mechanicsville Turnpike and 95. And expect delays, and we're seeing backup heading north on 195 between Cary Street and Bryant Park Interchange.
1061 ESPN. Catch Border to Border with Matt Josephs. Statewide sports debates, unfiltered takes, and no-nonsense analysis. Tune in daily and join the conversation.
We're having an all-night revival. Some will call the women and some will steal the Bible. For the sake of my survival.
Welcome back in, Fitz the Bill. It's Ryder Cup week. Stay tuned to 1061 ESPN for leaderboard updates for the Ryder Cup, live from Bethpage Black Golf Course in Farmingdale, New York. Presented exclusively by Richmond LSV. Special financing available on all Bentelli low-speed vehicles through October at richmondlsv.com. Welcome back in, Fitz the Bill. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. Alan alongside. He has returned to his place behind the glass after I kicked him out of there for the first segment. Appreciate Dr. Corey Resnick from Ortho Virginia taking some time out of his morning to chat with us about hip injuries, and got some good insights on how Jaden Daniels' MCL sprain could potentially, if they rush him back, impact his hip. So that was really, really interesting stuff, and I finally got to the bottom of what exactly a hip pointer is. And Dr. Resnick and I decided that hip pointers and turf toes are two things we need to rebrand because they're a lot worse than what they sound.
Yeah, no, I've been a victim of both of those back in my playing days. I remember the first time I heard about turf toe, I think it was Deion Sanders had it, and I did not understand. I was young then, too. I was like, man, it's just a toe injury.
Same. When I heard turf toe,
I think
it was
Shaq got it.
Sean Alexander once got it, and I was like, why can't he just play through a toe injury?
Yeah, I got a cortisone shot for mine.
Wow.
And when that cortisone shot wore off, it was in the middle of a play. I caught a pass, and I went to plant and push off.
Yikes.
Yeah, and all that pain, I guess, had stored up.
Yeah, all the cortisone had pushed down. And
people thought I'd, like, ruptured my Achilles or something. But no, it was just, turf toe had come back.
You probably would have rather ruptured your Achilles with all that pain.
And so, this is back in the day when I was young and full of energy. I actually learned how to wrap it up so I could play.
Whew.
And I had like a quadruple layered tape set up for it.
Oh, man. That sounds horrible.
Hip pointer, I got off of a tackle, and that was awful.
Just a really deep bone bruise, which also does not sound good. Does not sound good.
It aged me about 40 years. It was rough.
Sheesh.
It was rough, like literally scooting around the house.
Yikes. Yeah, you know who else is scooting around the house?
Who?
Virginia Tech, as they try to figure out this coaching search.
Have they started it? I haven't heard any news on it. I haven't been looking either.
So the biggest news that's come out in the last, 48 hours, they're now bringing on Bruce Arians. Yes, the former Cardinals and Buccaneers head coach, who played quarterback at Tech. He has a connection. It's his alma mater. Cool. Bruce Arians is a great guy. From what it seems like, I've never met him, but seems like a really good guy. He's going to serve as a consultant on the coach search.
Oh, not this
and now he is the one kind of doing all of the marketing and PR for Virginia Tech through this process. He went on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. He laid out some of his game plan that the Hokies have for emphasis on attempting, Alan, attempting to nail this hire. This is what Bruce Arians said yesterday on the Pat McAfee show.
I think first thing for Virginia Tech, we're going to hire a general manager and get him in charge of football. Then we'll get into the coaching search. And we're just in the ground stages now, but the university is making a huge financial commitment so that we can compete in the ACC like we should be. And, I want to see Virginia Tech back when Sandman's blasting and we're winning games.
Hey, from his mouth to God's ears, is that the saying? I think that's the saying.
I guess that's the saying. That sounds about right on the process.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
That's not a bad idea. I was going to say, though, just a quick curveball, because when you mentioned Tech and coaching search, The first thing that popped up in my mind, though, is that Oklahoma State is now open.
Yeah, I was leading into that.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden, Virginia Tech thought they were kind of getting the leg up on the coaching search. Joke's on them. The same day they fired Pry, UCLA fires their head coach. And then what? A week later, you have Mike Gundy out on the curb, and Oklahoma State's open.
I know it's a hard sell to people that Virginia Tech's a better job than UCLA, but go to an institution that takes football seriously if you're trying to be a football coach. UCLA still isn't quite there yet.
No, UCLA is a basketball school.
Yeah.
It's a basketball school.
They could change it to a football school if they get the right person in there, but
Oklahoma State will be Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State will be competing for the same coaches.
Yeah, I would take the Oklahoma State job.
I would too.
Just because I feel like the brand of the Big 12 is a little bit bigger.
And better.
Yeah, and that's all they have, pretty much, is football there.
That is a football-first school.
They're committed to getting back.
Now, if Virginia Tech gets this increased budget that they've been talking about, Pete Thamel reported, we talked about it on Monday, they're going to vote to increase their athletics budget by $47.1 million for 2026-27, and that investment will grow up into $212.5 million by fiscal year 2029. Doug Bowman at VT Scoop 24/7 was reporting on it, where he was breaking down how exactly they're going to increase the budget. And if they do increase the budget to $212.5 million by 2029, then I think Virginia Tech is a better spot than Oklahoma State is. However, there is a pretty big asterisk, pretty big caveat to it all, where of the money that they are going to add to this budget, 52% of it is going to come through donors, fans, what they're labeling as philanthropy. Then they're going to have about 9% come from the students, 21 in terms of student fees, 21% from the university, and 17% from bridge funding, assuming that that's the university. So what? 38% of the money will be coming from the university. An additional 9% will be from student fees. And then the remaining amount will be from donors and fans. And that part of it, I think, is causing a lot of holdup for skeptics out there, whether they're skeptical Virginia Tech fans or just skeptical people out there, that over 50% of this enhanced budget is going to come from donors. And I've heard the arguments, well, if they aren't donating now, why will they when this new coach comes in, and why will they do it over X amount of years? And my answer to that is, well, that's kind of why they have it increasing in incremental steps. They're going to try and grow their donor base more and more over each year with new philanthropy goals each and every year. So by 2029, they can increase their budget to $212.5 million. And look, it is a little weird. Like, let's face it, announcing a budget increase with a majority of that money being fake money, an idea of money, the hope of money. That's
a projection.
A very aggressive projection, because like you can project what the university is going to give you, and that normally comes true. You're projecting roughly what money you'll get from fans and donors. That's an interesting idea, and it's all to cultivate excitement. It's all to sell this idea of greatness that will then, I think, drum up more donors, because at this point in Virginia Tech, probably some of their big donors haven't been donating as much as they could because the team just hasn't been that good. And when you do bring in a new coach, you typically do get a little bit more donors. You have a little bit more of an excited fan base. And now you got Bruce Arians involved. He's going on the Pat McAfee show, kind of banging his chest about all of their grand plans and everything like that. So I think they'll be able to do it. I think they'll be able to get the big donors to open up their pocketbooks more, and they're going to be able to cultivate this culture of excitement, to be able to sell the idea of greatness, which will then in turn see an increase in donors. So it's a lot of money coming from philanthropy. 52.35% Virginia Tech is saying will come from philanthropy, from donors, from fans. And it's interesting to announce your increased budget with over 50% of your quote-unquote increased budget being a happy thought. But I believe that they will hit their goals, because what Alan said earlier, it's a football school. They care about football. They want to see their football team succeed.
My friend sent me a screenshot a couple of days ago with like total revenue and expenses of teams, and apparently based on the figures that Virginia Tech is pumping out, they're going to be in the top 10.
Yeah. They'll be they'll be right
in between like LSU and Texas A&M.
That's assuming no other athletic budgets increase between now and 2029, which will not be the case.
I question that a little, but yeah, I'm here for it, man. Like,
if they can do it, like it is a big if, but bringing Bruce Arians on, that's massive. Having him go on the Pat McAfee show and kind of be this hype man for your program, that's pretty big. But you mentioned it too. Mike Gundy being fired at Oklahoma State makes things a little more interesting, especially this early on, because you're now essentially in a race with Oklahoma State. You probably are going to be going after similar coaches. Like, if Virginia Tech does have this institutional support that's being voted on at the end of the month in about a week or so, then you can go out and you can target big name coaches. Are going to demand $7, $8, $9, $10 million a year salaries. And that's probably what Oklahoma State's going to be going after as well. And they're going to be in a battle with Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State probably has way more untapped resources too than Virginia Tech, and it could be a money race, could be an arms race. I mean, I would say Aaron's his focus is right. You got to get a general manager in today's landscape if you want to make things work, and essentially your general manager is, again, it's a pro model. He's going to help hire the coach and go from there. I would say they probably need to get that list going sooner rather than later, and be aggressive. There are several coaches that North Texas coach is one of them as well. My friend mentioned that to me yesterday, and we were talking. We have him pegged for Oklahoma State, but it's like Oklahoma State might be attracted to like a Dan Mullins, right? He wants to, I think, get back into the thick of things.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the SEC pressure, but still have the support, the finances and resources of like an SEC light. And I think you can get that at Oklahoma State. So that might be one of those things where if Oklahoma State goes for a bigger name, like if they get a John Gruden or something like that, because they probably will be a little bit more attractive to those names. It's nothing wrong with Virginia Tech finding somebody just underneath the name, but there's value there if it makes sense. What I'm saying.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. The one thing is, if Virginia Tech does get this increase in their budget, though, they are going to dwarf the budget of Oklahoma State.
So if you increase the budget, are the facilities better than Oklahoma State's though? That stuff matters to
that stuff matters.
Coaches and kids too.
100% that stuff matters. So you have that, but just the fact that you would have a bigger budget, like that could go a long way for bringing in a coach to say like, oh, we have this amount of money, we will get better facilities, and like you're going to be the guy that rebuilds this program. And I'm still in the camp. I think Virginia Tech should go after one of those young up and coming coaches. Maybe not Bob Chesney at JMU.
I wouldn't go for Chesney.
I don't think he's ready. I think you can gauge. I won't say that. But I don't think he should. I don't think they should go after Chesney, but maybe another young up and coming coach somewhere. Maybe he's at a P4 now and you can get him to come to Virginia Tech and grow that way. I don't think you're going to find success by doing a retread. I don't think Virginia Tech is going to find success by going after Dan Mullen. I don't think they're going to find success going after John Gruden. I've seen that name floated around. You're going to find the most success if you're Virginia Tech. And I think they know this. If you go out and you get a young up-and-coming coach, that's not a retread. Because when was the last time a retread worked? Like Manny Diaz at Duke is a retread. He's not necessarily lighting the world on fire there. Who's another retread that's currently at a P4?
Gosh. Don't get me lying. I have to think about it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. None of them pop into your mind. You're like,
No.
oh, that like Dan Mullen's having success at UNLV. He's a retread.
Don't go for Scott Frost.
Yeah, do not go for Scott Frost. He's having success at UCF.
Don't fall for it again.
I think retreads work when you retread them down. They don't work when you got to retread them at the same level. But that's my own.
Rich Rod would be a retread. Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, how's West Virginia doing?
I haven't checked in.
Not that great. They haven't been that dominant.
Checked in.
They've been all right. I mean, all right's probably a nice way of putting it, but I don't think they've been as good as people thought. They lost to Ohio.
Hugh Freeze, retread.
Yeah, how's Auburn do? Like
Auburn did okay. They got cheated.
All right. They didn't do all right last year.
No, they didn't. They were calling for him to be fired last year.
So retrends don't always work. Kansas beat West Virginia. West Virginia did beat Pitt in OT, but they've lost to Ohio. West Virginia's 2-2. Rich Rod, jury's still out. Hugh Freeze, jury's still out. But that's my point. You want to go after a younger guy who can bring you more success that way. All right, let's get a quick break in here. Step aside. We'll be back with some news or snooze on this Wednesday morning right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1783. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1783. That's 800-575-1783. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Horse racing is back, and it's time to get ready for another Triple Crown season. Get the latest from the industry every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 with Off to the Races on 106.1 ESPN. Presented by The Racing Biz. Nick Hahn and Frank Vespi bring you their insight and knowledge, talking with the people making the headlines, including jockeys, trainers, and owners. Plus, get the expert picks each week, including a visit by Derby Bill Watson. It's Off to the Races each Saturday morning at 10 on 106.1 ESPN. Streaming live on the iHeartRadio app.
Progressive knows there's so many great things about being a sports fan. Like scoring the company box seats. How great is that? Trick plays that actually work. Prevent defense when your team is winning by a lot. And even more preventative prevent defense as they're hanging on by a thread. And of course, saving money when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's pretty great. Just like trick plays that actually work.
Yeah, but how often does that happen?
Complaining about sports? Not so great. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
The John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul, all in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Hey, this is Jack Fitzpatrick. If you've ever been in a car accident, there's one place to call, Schilling and Esposito. I know them personally. I know their work ethic. They focus on their clients and their big dog obsession with getting the most compensation for their client. Heck, they even give you their cell phone numbers. Call them today at 804-320-0950 and put their entire team to work for you. 804-320-0950. Schilling and Esposito.
The 7th annual River City Tennis Open was created to support local charities benefiting local youth organizations in RVA, October 3rd through 5th at UR Tennis Facility. Online at rivercitytennisopen.com.
Wrap up your workday with Matt Josephs and Bob Black from 3 until 6 p.m. Live interviews, breaking news, and real talk about Richmond sports. Your business can be part of the conversation. Own the afternoon on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, where Richmond talks sports. Call 804-330-5700 or email espnrva@summitmediacorp.com. Weather reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at hermanallenplumbing.com.
106.1 ESPN weather.
Taking a look at today's weather forecast, it's currently 68 degrees and cloudy with a high today of 84 and a low of 66. We're seeing a low southwest breeze averaging about 3 miles per hour with gusts up to 7 miles per hour. Expect overcast skies throughout the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. And taking a look at tomorrow, similar temperatures with a 70% chance of scattered showers.
106.1 ESPN in your pockets. Download the app for on-demand shows, live updates, podcasts, and sports takes hotter than a game-winning drive. Your team, your way. Get it now. News or snooze.
mixed bag news or snooze today. I'm proud of you, Jack. It feels like I've bullied you into mixing it up.
I did a couple mixed it up, and you would. I remember when I did NBA, and it was a major story about cap circumvention, and you said no one cares about this. Stick to football, and then I did, and then the next time I stuck to football, I got. Wow, there's so much happening in sports. Why is this only football?
I don't recall that. John Mateer needs surgery on throwing hand.
Newsworthy.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
We need that as a sounder.
Yeah.
Of course it is. There's not much more to add there on that one.
They were rolling.
They were rolling. The Heisman favorite, dark horse. I wouldn't say national champion. They don't have the overall team, but
let's not go too crazy.
A college football playoff hopeful.
I still think that's too crazy. I think they wouldn't get through the gauntlet of the SEC that they got it coming up.
That's true.
But man, they were fun. They were fun to watch.
Team, and they still could be a fun team. I
just need you October 11th, Oklahoma. I really need you.
I see he's going to be out a month, so he's going to miss the game this weekend, or their bye this weekend. Then he's going to miss their Kent State game, going to miss their Oklahoma-Texas Red River game, and then he'll be potentially coming back against Ole Miss on October 25th. So you're missing the Texas game, which is a huge showdown. South Carolina, who I know they've been disappointing this year, but they're always a plucky team. You need to be at your best when you play the Gamecocks. Missing that game and potentially missing a game against ranked top 15 Ole Miss. So he may be coming back against Ole Miss or Tennessee.
I will go out on a limb and say that I think the defense can beat Texas and the defense can beat South Carolina.
I don't think they need John Mateer to beat Texas. Arch Manning will beat Texas for him.
Yeah, but they'll need him for that
Ole
final
Miss,
stretch.
yeah.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU.
If Oklahoma can make it through bringing back John Mateer with just one loss, and I'm looking at it where I think Texas is a win, Kent State's a win, South Carolina is a win. If they get him back for that Ole Miss game, that's big because then you got him back for that final, extreme gauntlet for Oklahoma. But if he misses that Ole Miss game, I think you can afford to lose it, but then you have to win out. Like over their final 4 or 5 games, if this is a team that wants to make the college football playoff, you likely got to go 4-1 in those.
Which quarterback are they going to use? Did they say
they have? I don't think they announced it. So heck if I know. They might be better off just running a. No, I'm not going to say.
Yeah, don't do that. Let's remember it's college football. You got to move the ball, man.
Yeah, I was going to say just a wildcat formation.
The last coach I saw win with literally no quarterback play. I reference this all the time. It was a long time ago. Art Browse beat North Carolina. At the time was a top 10 team. I think he beat him in a bowl game. And every quarterback he had on the roster got hurt, and he had to put a receiver at quarterback. And then he had to run different variations of the option. His mind works that way, right? As an offensive guy, it works that way. I could not imagine Brent Venables being without quarterbacks and trying to figure out a way to score. So they'll need somebody. They got a couple nice sized options on their bench, but I don't know which one they would use, though. I don't know anything about these guys.
Looking at it, it'll probably be Michael Hawkins Jr.
You know what? That does sound familiar for some reason.
He's the only one that's registered a snap this season outside of John Mateer.
All right. Well, let's see. From Dallas, Texas.
All right, Oklahoma.
I love it.
This is when champions are made. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. At least it's Kent State. You can kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah, you can figure out what you're off.
Red River is going to be crazy one way or another.
Red River, Arch Manning's going to throw 3 picks, and Oklahoma's going to win by 2 points.
And if we can get it again, I will air it here on 106.1. We did it last year.
Keep it locked.
Yeah, they let us know like last minute. So we'll see if they do it again this year.
Keep it locked.
All right, number 2. MLB approves robot umpires for 2026.
Newsworthy. Heck yeah, finally. We had a texter text in. Matt was talking about this yesterday, and a texter texted in yesterday, said that Matt, who agrees with me that we both are on the train of good robot umps, thank goodness, said, you're so wrong on this topic, taking away the entire essence of baseball. Why even have an umpire on the field? People who got robot umps do not actually watch the games.
Hey, look, I'll answer that question because I too wonder why even have umpires on the field because they miss a lot of calls.
Well,
this last 2 years of umpiring has been so bad. And this is coming from a guy that watches a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
It has been all-time bad.
And what about the fights that we get? What about
I
the
get
managers fighting
I
with
get the
umps?
arguments and all that. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
however,
cool. You know what I like better than that?
yeah, get
Correct
the call
calls.
right. Yeah,
Correct
some
calls.
of these calls are so bad.
And
I've
it's
seen
not like-
calls so bad. The opponents are like, "What in the world?"
And it's like, I think the point that is missed a lot with the robot umps is they are still umpires out there, and you only get 2 challenges. If you miss it, you lose it. If you're right, you get to keep it. So you only get 2 challenges, though. So you're still potentially having game-deciding wrong calls that will bring managers out of the dugout for fights. Because if they've gotten those 2 missed challenges wrong, and in the 8th inning there is a badly missed call, but you're out of challenges, then you're still going to see a manager fight an umpire.
I would love to know what players thought before last year on robot umps and what they think this year on robot umps. And managers too.
I guarantee the reason that this passed this year is
because
that
they're
it's
sick
split.
of it. Yeah.
Well, it's also just like, I love baseball. Might be one of the only sports. That's a lie. Every sport's like this, but baseball's the most vocal about it, where people think that they know more about the game than the people playing the game itself because they played Little League when they were 7. Like
that's probably true.
so many people in baseball are like, well, you got to keep the umpires. It's the way of the game. This is what the people want. No, they don't. The ratings have told you this isn't what they want. The people have told you by making baseball America's pastime into, I mean, what, the 3rd most popular sport in America behind, heck, we could even say the 4th most popular sport because it goes NFL, college football, and then I think NBA, then MLB. Like, the people have been telling you for quite some time that the way of this game isn't what they want in today's world, except for the baseball traditionalists. This is the right move for baseball to actually bring in a robot umpire.
Getting calls right will never be a negative to
No.
the game of any sport. Now, if it takes you 20 minutes to do it, like instant replay, sometimes, yes, that's a problem.
I heard Bob yesterday. He was citing the stats of it. On average, there were, I believe, 3 challenges called, 3 or 4 challenges called in spring training, and the average review took 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That
I'm
sounds
cool
great with that. Like,
but what I'm not cool with is seeing the ball in the other batter's box being called a strike and seeing a ball thrown right down the middle be called a ball. And that has happened way too much for my liking. Again, we don't come on air and complain about it all the time, but I would say I watch at least 2 games a night, and I would say every other night I've seen that, and that's entirely too much.
Here's
for
the
MLB.
thing. Here's the thing. You're not allowed. If you're a baseball traditionalist, you're not allowed to complain about missed calls ever, because that's what you want in the game. If you're saying that robot umpires are bad for the game, well, you know what's then in your mind, using your logic, what's bad for the game is correct calls. So you are therefore not allowed to argue or complain about missed calls, because that's what the robot umpire system is supposed to do. And I hate how they're calling it robot umpires, because you still have human umpires behind the plate, still doing their job. They still have to make the initial call. It's just a challenge system, and both teams get 2 challenges, and that is the correct way to handle this.
Just get it right. Number 3,
that's all that matters.
Source. I like that. Source. Commanders McLaurin seeks more input on quad injury.
Yeah, John Keim wrote the story. The source was to Adam Schefter about this, and this is a rare 3-peat of newsworthy. It's never good when a player is looking for more opinions on an injury.
That's true.
That's what worries me. Lake Lewis was on the show yesterday. He said that if this was a playoff game, they would all be playing. And, at the time, I believed him when it came to Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. Jaden working through his MCL sprain. For Terry, though, now hearing that he wants more opinions on his quad injury, I don't think he would be playing this week. I would expect Terry to miss this week with the quad injury. And it is very worrisome that he is looking for more opinions. But look, this is why you sign a big deal that's heavily guaranteed. Oh, wait, that's not what his agent asked for.
Yeah, this is why as a player you fight to get your money up front.
But he didn't do that.
Yeah, and it's also why you should, as a organization and player, seek some kind of mediation to get people in shape before they hit the season, because these things happen, man. Like, Terry's never been injury prone, and he's nicked up. I think in the first game, and it wasn't really reported, and then in the third game, he's already dealing with a quad injury, so it is a little worrisome.
Because like getting a second opinion, is it like a torn quad?
I mean, if it was torn, you don't need a second opinion, sir. You know, I hate to sound like I'm the injury prone one, but I play a lot of sports. I did tear my quad once, and you know. That is not an injury that
you're seeking more opinion on. Unless your opinion is, Doc, how much cortisone can you give me?
The cortisone can't help that. It might be like second opinion on like a strain or something like that.
Yeah, but the severity of a strain.
If you pulled it, trust me, you're done.
That does worry me though, that he's seeking another opinion.
And what worries me is the line opened up at 2.5 and moved down to 1.5 too. So I don't know. It won't Terry that moved it. Maybe Jaden's not going to play.
I don't think Jaden's going to play this week. I do not think Jaden's going to play this week.
I mean, again, looking at how the line moved, I think it looks that way too. But we'll find out as we get closer and closer. And honestly, they don't need to rush Jaden back. His health is of a premium, and they don't need to rush Terry back for real. His health is of the premium too. Like I'd said before the season started, the one thing that would hurt this team, they're very top heavy. Their starters are good, but if the starters start going down, you're going to find out they don't have a lot of depth. So.
And they are getting hit with some injuries.
Yeah, so
along that defensive line, they've got some big ones.
Take your time.
Dan Quinn, in regards to Jaden Daniels, said, "We're still listing it day to day. And then as we get into Wednesday, I'll be more qualified to hit us on what types of practice and what we can hit on to go." So I love when people just like write verbatim what the quote is, because like 9 times out of 10, they're just talking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make much sense. So he went through some things today, some more tomorrow. This was back on Monday, and that'll lead us up into Wednesday today. But when we get together prior to practice, I'll have a better idea for the plan. We're not nailed down on that. So we'll get more information today on Jaden Daniels and hopefully Terry McLaurin as he searches for additional opinions. All right, let's get a quick break in here. Step aside. Be back to wrap up hour number 1 of Fitz the Bill on this Wednesday.
Traffic reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at HermanAllenPlumbing.com.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. OpenPhone gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. OpenPhone lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place, so that you and your team can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? OpenPhone automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With OpenPhone's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to coach your team and level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with OpenPhone. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try OpenPhone for free at openphone.com/try and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/try. openphone.com/TRY.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1783. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1783. That's 800-575-1783. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Strawberry Street Catering and Food Truck Chefs create custom menus tailored to your event's unique flavor. Your vision, their expertise. Pick StrawberryStreetCatering.com for your next unforgettable event. Strawberry Street Catering and Food Trucks, where tradition meets delectable.
Game on, Richmond. Crank up 106.1 ESPN for live play-by-play, blistering hot takes, and nonstop action. Your ticket to the hype. Stay dialed in.
Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill here as we wrap up hour number 1, and we're going to go immediately out to the phone lines as Dolphin Dave is out there on line 1. Good morning, Dolphin Dave. How are we doing?
Hey, good, great, thanks. Real quick, you think as an old guy I wouldn't like the thing going into the electronic umpires, but I'm absolutely totally opposite. I remember actually seeing an interview or reading somewhere in a very reputable magazine of where umpires were basically saying, I like to affect the game, all right, which means basically that their strike zone is different than the other umpire's strike zone, which is different than the other umpire's strike zone. So, you know what? I applaud the fact we're going to do this, that we will have basically a strike zone. Think about this, and I know you know this as watching baseball like I do, that the players actually scout the umpires because they don't know what the strike zone is, and they're not going to really have to do that anymore. So I applaud. Let's go ahead and make the strike zone the strike zone. It's a ball or it's a strike. And then you can go ahead and just go on with the game and take one other, what I would call factor that could be good or bad out of the game, just make it right.
That's also a really good point, Dolphin Dave. Thank you so much for calling in. Have a great rest of your Monday. We're up against the bottom of the hour or top of the hour. I forget which one's top, which one's bottom. I haven't looked at a real clock in quite some time. But that's a really good point where each umpire has a very different strike zone. It's the human element. It's whether or not they want to affect the game, like Dolphin Dave was alluding to there. But it's also now with the robot umpire, you have to call it within the rules. What is the strike zone? Call that as the strike zone. So every single umpire's strike zone will be almost exactly the same because they all have to call it the same. Because if they don't, they'll get challenged, they'll lose the challenge, and they'll be put on display that they're doing it wrong. So that's also, I didn't even think of that part of it where it is going to it's going to make every strike zone the same across the league, and you're not going to have different strike zones based on the umpire. Another unintended consequence, a good consequence of bringing the robot umpires into this, bringing the challenges into it. It's going to set a level playing field. All right. We're going to come back, hour number 2, talk of the town, player of the week. It's R.J. Hudson, Varina's defensive end, 2 sacks, a pick 6 in Varina's 33-10 win over Hermitage. We caught up with him earlier this week. We'll air his interview on the other side as we begin hour number 2. And it's going to be all things high school football in hour 2 as the Ball In VA podcast will be joining us to chat a little bit about what's happening in the 804 so far through this high school football season. Stay with us.
Stats optional. Opinions guaranteed. Matt Josephs brings you Border to Border, 3 to 4 on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, where Richmond talks sports.
Cooler fall temperatures are coming, and that means perfect weather for a round of golf at Queenfield Golf Club. Queenfield is a beautifully secluded 18-hole course just a few minutes east of Mechanicsville that offers a spacious driving range, practice greens and bunkers, and professionally maintained golf course. Take the afternoon off or schedule your tee time today by calling 804-769-8838 or reserve your spot online at queenfieldgolf.com. Queenfield Golf Club, RVA's best-kept secret.
Serving Richmond and beyond for over 20 years, Bon Air Shell features a full line of automotive services. Check out bonairshell.com, loaded with coupons, specials, and more to see all that they can do for your car and your peace of mind. And now with their Fuel Rewards program, you can save at least 5 cents per gallon on every fill-up. Learn more at fuelrewards.com. Go see the team at Bon Air Shell, 8762 West Huguenot Road. Go to bonairshell.com or call them at 272-3232. That's 272-3232.
You don't have to be just a number when it comes to your health care. The average doctor cares for 4,000 patients per year, while a Welcome MD doctor like Dr. Richard Peoples sees less than 400 patients per year. This means you get better personalized health care specific to your needs. Aren't you worth it? Make an appointment today with Dr. Peoples at 804-774-7099 or visit welcomemd.com. Mention this ad for a special discount. Welcome MD.
Driven by an unwavering passion for real estate, Wes Atia with Joyner Fine Properties consistently goes above and beyond for his clients. Wes is dedicated to ensuring that every step of your home selling or buying journey is met with unparalleled dedication, expertise, and a genuine commitment to exceeding your expectations. Wes is a proud sponsor and founder of the River City Tennis Open, supporting local charities benefiting RVA youths, and can be found at isellrichmondhomes.com.
From the ESPN studio, presented by Ortho Virginia. Find one of Ortho Virginia's orthopedic locations at orthovirginia.com. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 1061 ESPN. You're listening to the second hour of Fitz the Bill on 1061 ESPN.
Welcome in hour number 2 of Fitz the Bill. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick Allen alongside on this Wednesday morning. Appreciate you clocking in, getting your day started with us right here on 1061 ESPN Richmond, live from the Ortho Virginia studios in the capital of the Commonwealth. And you can watch the stream, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just type in ESPN Richmond. We'll pop right on up. And you can watch the stream, and while you're there, you can comment, you can subscribe, you can like, you can do all of that great stuff that helps promote the stream as well. And, of course, feel free to call, text in here throughout hour number 2. And hour number 2, it's a loaded one when it comes to high school football. We've got Talk of the Town, Student Athlete of the Week, R.J. Hudson, Varina's defensive end. We're going to be airing his interview that we had with him earlier this week when we caught up with him following his 2-sack performance against Hermitage. Oh, by the way, also had himself a pick 6. And then we also will be joined here live in studio in about 15, 20 minutes with the Ballin VA podcast group. They'll be joining to chat with us about all things that's happening in the 804 in terms of high school football. So a high school football heavy here, hour number 2 on this Wednesday. So earlier this week, we caught up with R.J. Hudson. He has been a standout defensive end for the Varina Blue Devils here to begin 2025. 3.5 sacks for him through 4 games, a couple forced fumbles, a couple tackles for loss, and then he also capped off his performance on Friday against Hermitage with a pick 6. It was a very impressive performance for R.J. Hudson as he earned Talk of the Town Student Athlete of the Week this week. And our Talk of the Town presented by Dave and Buster's over there in Short Pump. Head on over, check them out. Dave and Buster's, a proud sponsor of our Talk of the Town segment, as is Ortho Virginia. Check out Ortho Virginia at orthovirginia.com to see their locations and get an appointment if you need something to be taken care of by Ortho Virginia. All right, this is our conversation with R.J. Hudson, Varina's defensive end, coming off of his fantastic 2-sack, 1 pick 6 performance against Hermitage on Friday.
From local legends to rising stars, these are the people and stories that are the talk of the town.
We're your Fitz the Bill Talk of the Town Player of the Week with Raymond Hudson, defensive end for Varina, coming off of a impressive 33-10 win over Hermitage. RJ, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. I know you're getting ready for practice. How'd that win feel over the weekend against Hermitage?
It felt great, man. Really it's just one step closer towards where we want to be in the season. Ultimate goal is always up in December. But the past game, it was a show out and just a big debut for me to go out and perform and put my name under the lights for some people and just for the crowd and the community, see what I can do for them. So it was a great win, still got a couple of things to clean up on, but yeah.
I mean, you had yourself a pretty good game, man. 2 sacks, a pick 6. I think now on the season, you're up to like 3.5 sacks, a couple forced fumbles in there. Oh, by the way, we score a touchdown as well on the defensive side. What was it about that game against Hermitage that allowed you to have that much success?
Truly just the environment. I mean, I didn't really get a whole lot of playing time coming up early in the season, but this game, my name just being called, just the coaches relying on me to make a difference or just to make a play out there on the field when things were going slow and when we weren't making the plays that had to be, executed properly. When they called on me and relied on me to make that play, I was that guy. And just to make that play and just to be called on, I knew I had to, come out there and do what I had to do to execute for the team and execute for us to win the game.
Varina football head coach Marcus Lewis also joining us. And coach, going with RJ there, making that call, seeing him ball out that way, walk us through the decision to call his number in that game at that moment.
I mean, he's just an explosive kid, man, and just giving him the opportunity. Kind of new to just start back playing football. Very explosive. He's getting better each and every week at practice, every day. So, I mean, the opportunity was there. He's been making those plays at practice, so I'm not shocked that he made made him on Friday. So I'm looking forward to as the season, continue to develop, just him getting better each and every week. So he's going to be somebody where y'all will keep hearing his name called.
RJ, walk me through that pick six. I mean, just walk me through seeing the play develop, getting the ball in your hands, and then running into the open field to score the touchdown. Walk me through that.
Basically, I got caught up. They said, RJ, you up, ran on the field, got my guy, and just came off the play, very explosive. I read the quarterback, make sure he wasn't coming my way. And, I had Bull Richardson on the right of me. He was coming to make that sack as well. I peeked on my outside, see the ball up in the air, had to go grab it. It was just the adrenaline. We weren't going to let them get any downs on us. They're right there, right near the touchdown, the end zone. So it was a sack or it was a touchdown for us. That was my mindset right there. Either make a play or we take the play from them. So, that touchdown, my first one being of the season, of course, yeah, it meant a lot. And they got the team pumping and it got a lot of momentum running. So, yeah.
How are you able to create so much havoc in the game? 2 sacks with that pick six. How are you able to live in the backfield?
I mean, honestly, that's just what football is to me. Just coming out there and making plays, making a difference in the game. If you can't do that, then, you're not that guy to be caught up on.
And walk me through the defensive play as a whole, because the offense was a little slow out of the gates. They got things going in the second half, but for the defense, you guys stood strong in that first half, that you're able to kind of keep Hermitage at bay. Walk us through how that defense was able to just kind of be like a brick wall in that first half.
Honestly, really just the chemistry together. We are the guys who rely on us. Like we are our own group. Like if we don't have each other, then the play just doesn't go right. If we're not all on the same path, then we can't do what we have to do. So really just all of us coming together as a family, because that's what we have to do it in the games. All coming on the same play, on the same chemistry, on the same momentum, just to get back there. Because we want to strike fear in them, and we want to either strike fear or strike a play. That's our mindset. That's our goal at the end of the day. So quarterback can't throw the rock, then he can't run away from us. And that's what we want to do, and that's what we want to execute every time on each play, some coach.
And RJ, last question here for you. What do you expect to see out of yourself moving forward throughout the rest of the season? What are the expectations you have for yourself?
That everybody know my name.
I love it. Quick, simple. I love that one so far. I mean, you made a big impact on Friday night. Good luck this upcoming game, and hopefully we hear your name being called a lot more at Verina and throughout.
Sure will. I appreciate you, boss.
Of course. Coach Lewis, I do want to talk a little bit about RJ here, because having that type of play to start the season, getting his number called, not necessarily the go-to guy to start, but then has kind of developed into that. What do you credit his success to?
Just this hard worker. He's a kid that just work. Very explosive kid. He runs a 10-9 or a 10-8 in 100. So when you got a kid like that, you got to find a way to put him in the spot where he can win. And this could be hard for any tackle or any lineman to try to block somebody like that.
And overall, I was talking to RJ about this, but the defensive play in that Hermitage game was really impressive. Defensive play has been really solid to start the season. How has that unit been able to be so dominant to start this year off?
Just like I just said, real tight group. Some returners. But we take pride. I'm the head coach, but I'm also the defensive coordinator, so they know that you got to bring that energy on that side of the ball. And defense win ball games at the end of the day. If you can't score, you can't win. So we know we can stop people. They'll give our offense a chance to where it's gonna be hard for anybody to beat us.
And what do you guys need to do this week in practice to get set for your game on Friday night to keep this momentum rolling?
And just work on all the little things, man. We missed a lot of tackles that first half, which I was highly upset. So all week we're gonna be working on tackling. We're gonna just be working on the little things, every day. We gotta, some of these penalties, personal fouls. They about to run for that today. We once we clean up some things, man, it's gonna be. I feel like the score didn't really tell the outcome. I feel like we left some points on the board. So I was highly upset because when you're playing against other teams, you can't have these penalties. And we got Grimsby next week, so we can't come out here with 10 to 11 penalties. We can't have 3 to 4 personal fouls. Got to have a clean game and more than likely we will be on the W side of that.
You mentioned it. I think you said it in an interview with the Richmond Times-Dispatch that you guys would be running this week in practice because of the start of that game. So they're running today, I take it?
Oh, for sure. I just told them when we are watching film there, I said, hey, y'all know for every penalty, this what this is. Personal fouls, this what this is. So they got to learn. And, the only way you learn is by discipline. I mean, and you got to get punished for those things.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend against Henrico, and good luck the following week at Grimsley. That's a big-time showdown down there in North Carolina.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Welcome back in, Fitz the Bill. We're wrapping things up. R.J. Hudson, Varina's defensive end, was our Talk of the Town Player of the Week. Appreciate him taking some time out of his day to chat with us and shed some insights into how he was able to ball out against Hermitage with 2 sacks, a pick six, a really solid performance from R.J. Hudson. And Talk of the Town presented by Dave and Buster's and Ortho Virginia. Dave and Buster's, head on out. Check them out in Short Pump. They are a proud sponsor of our Talk of the Town segment, as is Ortho Virginia. Find out more about Ortho Virginia at orthovirginia.com. All right, we'll take a quick break. Be back. Ball in VA. They'll be joining us. Talk a little 804 high school football right here on Fitz the Bill.
Hey, this is Jack Fitzpatrick. If you've ever been in a car accident, there's one place to call: Schilling and Esposito. I know them personally. I know their work ethic. They focus on their clients and their big dog obsession with getting the most compensation for their client. Heck, they even give you their cell phone numbers. Call them today at 804-320-0950 and put their entire team to work for you. 804-320-0950. Schilling and Esposito.
Richmond Kickers soccer games in the fall is a RVA tradition. Just a few games left at City Stadium this season. Reserve your tickets online at richmondkickers.com.
Progressive knows there's so many great things about being a sports fan. Like scoring the company box seats. How great is that? Trick plays that actually work. Prevent defense when your team is winning by a lot. And even more preventative prevent defense as they're hanging on by a thread. And of course, saving money when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's pretty great. Just like trick plays that actually work.
Yeah, but how often does that happen?
Complaining about sports? Not so great. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
The John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul. All in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Introducing the Allianz Amphitheater at Riverfront, downtown Richmond's premier state-of-the-art venue, set against the James River and historic Tredegar. With stunning skyline views and room for up to 7,500 guests, it's the perfect setting for private events, corporate gatherings, and unforgettable concerts. From intimate receptions to full venue buyouts, our team delivers world-class service, custom menus and mixology, and seamless execution. Make your next event one to remember. Start at AllianzAmphitheater.com.
The Vintelli Fall Sales Event is on now through October 31st. Great selection of LSVs and special finance rates are available. Cruise your neighborhood in style with a street-legal low-speed vehicle from Richmond LSV. Bluetooth sound system, seatbelts, and lithium batteries are all standard equipment. Schedule a test drive today during the Vintelli Fall Sales Event at richmondlsv.com or text 804-363-4351. Fun, fully charged.
Are you suffering from a sports injury, chronic pain, or something that just plain hurts? Ortho Virginia can help get you on the road to recovery. As the state's largest provider of orthopedic care, Ortho Virginia's team of specialists offers surgical and non-surgical treatment options. With 12 offices conveniently located in the Richmond area, visit orthovirginia.com or call 804-915-1910 to discover why at Ortho Virginia, stronger starts here.
Wes Atia and Joyner Fine Properties presents the River City Tennis Open October 3rd through 5th at the University of Richmond Westham facility. For more information, visit rivercitytennisopen.com.
This is Greg Trzynski of the Original Mattress Factory. I recently had 2 sets of customers who had vastly different stories. One had purchased elsewhere 3 years ago and spent $5,000, and the other had purchased from OMF 12 years ago and spent $1,000. The difference? Our customer's mattress lasted 4 times longer and cost them 5 times less. Don't waste money on overpriced, overhyped mattresses. Visit the Original Mattress Factory for unbeatable quality and value. Sleep better, longer, for less.
Catch up on the latest horse racing news with Off to the Races live broadcast, 10 to 11 every Saturday morning on 106.1 ESPN. Presented by The Racing Biz.
It's Bo time. Fumble in the food on game day? Rookie move. But you know Bo can make your tailgate a winner, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Because the Carolina Legend has everything you're craving. We're talking crispy, juicy chicken loaded with real Southern flavor, fluffy, scratch-made buttermilk biscuits, and all the fixings to feed your whole crew faster than you could say touchdown. Be the MVP this season and let Bojangles do the cooking. Order your tailgate today. It's Bo time.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1783. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1783. That's 800-575-1783. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
For you and I, this is waste. But to a tree's roots, it's dessert. Just ask the pros at Robinson's Plumbing Service. Just because it's fall doesn't mean trees stop growing. Right now, their roots are spreading, seeking out any water they can find. A great source is your sewer main. The roots slowly work themselves into the drain pipe. Once inside, they get all the moisture they want. Then they expand and multiply. That causes slow drainage, clogs, and sometimes backups. If you've got a slow drain, call Robinson's Plumbing Service now. They'll bring out their pipe cameras, drain machines, and cheddars. If there's a clog, they can blast out those invading roots. And if your line needs replacing, Robinson's Plumbing Service also has excavators. And don't worry, Robinson's Plumbing won't hurt your trees. Fall is here, the leaves may be dropping, but the roots are still spreading. So if you're seeing signs of a slow drain, call Robinson's Plumbing Service, voted the Richmond area's best plumbing service. Schedule your appointment now at robinsonsplumbingservice.com.
From rush hour to Richmond Roar, Bob Black's voice is your sun-splashed co-pilot. Dive into all the stats, fiery takes, and the kind of energy that beats brake lights. Weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m., your drive's new favorite huddle.
Say I'm the biggest, the largest. Been stepping up since my mama stayed in them apartments. Regardless, my daddy told me keep the heat even when I'm in foreigns.
Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond. You can watch live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And, of course, you can tune in on ESPNRichmond.com and the ESPN Richmond app. And we're going to continue our high school football coverage, our high school football talk. Ballin' VA, the podcast, they're here today to chat a little bit about the high school football landscape. Chase is joining us, Lee, Brendan, and Philip. They're all coming in here today to chat with us about 804 high school football. Guys, thank you so much for taking some time and joining us here on this beautiful Wednesday. Chase, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm super excited for this opportunity. Thank you for having us on and excited to talk some football with you today.
Yeah, of course. I mean, 804 football so far this season. It's been off to a very fun start. We've gotten some really, really fun matchups. Verina, they took on Maury. They fell in that one, but Highland Springs, they fell hosting a team down from Charlotte. But, I mean, those are two big-time games that brought to the 804. And then, of course, we got Highland Springs Dinwiddie, which was an all-time classic.
Absolutely.
I mean, looking at the schedule so far this year, it's been a fun start to the 804 high school football slate.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As stated, Verina played Maury just a few short weeks ago. That game was awesome. My personal opinion, Verina had multiple chances to win that game. Penalties hurt them a little bit, but you could tell, even though they fell to obviously a Class 5 powerhouse in Maury, they're definitely going to be a threat in Class 4 this year. hopefully dethroning the Phoebus Phantoms down in Hampton.
Yeah, Lee, I mean, looking at the teams we have so far, who's been a standout to you that's impressed you? So I know it's early in the season, but a team that's impressed you so far.
Oh, that's a great question. We're looking at it was so much parity this year, man. Of course, we can say Varina, but I'm going to say Dinwiddie, man. I'm going to say Dinwiddie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dinwiddie has been on the road a couple of games, and then they got that. Actually, the first 2 or 3 games they was on the road.
Yep.
And then to get that overtime win against Dinwiddie was big. I mean, I guess Highland Springs was big because again we're looking at the life after 6. So Harry Dalton is gone. You got Zion Balso stepped up, and they have been playing lights out. So I would say Dinwiddie if you ask me.
Chase, is the same answer for you?
I would say so, yeah, because as Lee stated, Harry Dalton was a once-in-a-generation type of talent for Dinwiddie. Coach Mills, we all know he's going to bring guys with him, and he's going to have his guys prepared for whoever steps up and spots the ball with him. But you don't get a player like Harry Dalton every so often leading all-time leading Central Region all-time touchdown leader. And there's a reason he's playing at USC. That's just he's always been that kind of kid, as Billy Mills said during the podcast, one of the hardest worker he's ever coached. But seeing Zion Boyso, who coach's son, father's the wide receivers coach, and I believe the defensive coordinator, he just stepped in like, this is my time to shine. Y'all are going to know who I am by the end of this year. And dang if he didn't.
Yeah, Brendan and Philip, thank you guys for hopping in as well on this beautiful Wednesday morning. We're talking 804 high school teams that have impressed you so far this year. And I know it's early. There's still a lot of football left to be played. But for you guys, who have been some teams that have stuck out in this Central Virginia area that you've been really impressed with?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us. I'm excited to be here. But for me, and you guys were just talking about that Dinwiddie team, and watching them at Highland Springs battle, it was one of the better games that we've seen this year. So I was very impressed with Dinwiddie. And like I stated, too, when we do our Tuesday Night Lives, as the game went on, it just seemed like Dinwiddie got stronger.
Yep.
And also for the Highland Springs side, too, as well, they have a new quarterback there. He played really, really well in that football game, and they have obstacles that they're overcoming as well. They were up 14-0, and that game was if that fumble didn't happen, that game could go the other way. So impressed with Highland Springs as well. But Dinwiddie and Highland Springs are 2 teams that I've seen that I've been impressed with.
And Brendan, as we go down the line, who's the team you're most impressed with?
I like Dinwiddie too.
A lot of people love Dinwiddie.
We talked about this last week on our live as well. Big time players step up in big time games, and Dinwiddie going to Highland Springs in that environment and pulling out that win after dropping down 14-0 shows a lot about their character, shows a lot about the character of Coach Mills and the staff. And so we knew Dinwiddie was going to be great, but we didn't know how great they were till they made that type of win. I also like Varina too. I think Varina's had a really tough schedule. They had the loss against Maury, but they've been rolling ever since then. And I think they have a good chance to prove themselves even more as their schedule permits. They got Grimsley coming up. They got Highland Springs coming up. They got a really tough schedule, but they've shown that they're going to be in the mix for that championship in 4 later down the road.
Yeah, I mean, what a schedule for Varina this year. You put Maury on there. Of course, you got Highland Springs every year, the massive rivalry in the 804. But then you go ahead and you're like, all right,
but I'm going to add to that. You still got the Hermitage, who is still a quality opponent. And they played William Fleming, who, even though the score might have suggested otherwise, but William Fleming's still a constant.
And it's a long bus ride. Like you got to add in all of that. Like we had Coach Lewis on once, and he kind of said, one, they're a good opponent, but also you got to kind of prep for the postseason with some of these bus rides that you're taking.
Yep.
But I mean, Grimsley, man, like that's a team that has been dominant in North Carolina. They've always are putting out top end. I'm a JMU alum, right? So Alonzo Barnett right now, the quarterback at JMU, Grimsley product, dude's a monster. And I think the quarterback that went after him, dare I say better, I think he was like the number 1 or number 2 QB either in North Carolina or in Virginia. What does it say about Varina that they are going out and they're putting games like this on their schedule? Chase, if you want to take that one first.
I'll take it. And I'm going to say this because, to quote Marcus Lewis, we ain't ducking nobody. And like when you've got the talent they do, where 3 Division I caliber running backs, quarterback who, even though his stature, he's probably my favorite quarterback to watch because he's like 5'10". Caleb plays like he's 6'4" and has nothing to lose.
And that White family, they got some ballers. KJ's playing at Union, point guard for them. I mean, that family's been, and the youngest is balling out on their JV team, doing massive hits. I mean, that family's got some athletes.
And their father was a great hooper, according to that. So, like, when you play Verona, even hats off to their defense. That's who I want to shine on. When you got a defensive line with probably my favorite defensive player in our area, Jay-Sean Bull Richardson, who
that team's got the weird those nicknames, man. I'm sorry to interrupt, Chase, but you got Sir Paul, Jesus in cleats. And you got Bull Richardson. Bull's not as bad of a nickname, but like you go down the line, it's like Jesus in cleats, and you're like, oh, hey, respect. If you can pull off a nickname like Jesus in cleats, I give it to you. But
wait till you see that kid run, because trust me, it's electric.
You're putting a target on your back sometime. But go for him with Sir Paul. But sorry to interrupt, Chase. You can continue.
Just then to add to the nickname, they got a running back named Darren Williams. His nickname's Bam Bam. So I mean, like they're just fun to watch, and Marcus makes it great when you got a defensive coach who's played a couple years in the NFL with Jay Lou, and you got other guys stacked with coaches who've played college ball or have like life experience. Like their offensive line coach was in the Marines, so he can relay his military time to his offensive line and that kind of stuff. But you know when you play Verona, you're going to get an opponent, and it's been exciting to watch in the last few weeks, and I look forward to seeing the way the rest of the season goes.
Who's been a team for you guys, Philip, if you want to take this one, a team that's kind of surprised you so far this year in terms of how they've performed to start the year?
That's a good question. I'm going to say I like Armstrong. I think Armstrong has a lot to prove, and I think them, being able to take out TJ was a big thing, big step for them. I think, now with the rest of their schedule and what it looks like, they could be undefeated going into the playoffs, and they got a chance to make a good run in too. So I think Armstrong has definitely stood out. I just want to see kind of how they play out because the strength of schedule won't be as much going down the rest of the season. But with just one, big game left, I think they can make a run in two. So I like Armstrong.
All right. And any other shocking teams that you guys have seen so far?
I wouldn't say shocking, but I would say Manchester.
Those numbers that they put up.
That's what I say. And they have a one-track mind right now. And I think their goal is state championship or bust. You talk about certain teams that have that pedigree, but for us, we've talked about Manchester being a team in Division 6 that can challenge, Oscar Smith and Elsie Bird and Thomas Dale in that region too as well. So I would say Manchester for me.
And they got some good quarterback play as well. Like what Landon Abernathy at Manchester's been doing. He's been balling for him.
Oh. But basically, what I'm going to say, and hats off to him because I'm going to be the first to say I was pleasantly surprised by this team, Midlothian, because losing a lot of kids last year. One of my best friends was a starting receiver for Midlothian last year, and his words, he was like, "We're not going to be as good as we are." Gross has taken over and just kept that train moving because Matt Hutchings left, and now he's back at Clover Hill, which is his alma mater. But you can't disrespect a Midlothian team because, like, are they going to be the team that you look on the paper and say, oh, they got a 5-star recruit committed to Ohio State? No. But the kids Gross has, especially his son, Gibson Gross, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the whole area. But, yeah, just the way they played, special game this week against Huguenot will tell you everything you need to know about them.
I'll second that, too, as well. I think everybody their answers up here from Armstrong to Manchester, Midlothian, I think that was great. And I love the parity this year because there's not one team that's just dominant and that you're like, okay, we know what they're going to be. But now it's like it helps us to go to every game. You got Trinity that's doing well. You got Benedictine that's doing well. St. Chris pulled up the shocker over Huguenot.
Yeah.
So now it makes us well-rounded to say, hey, we got to go to these games. Thomas Dale, well, we were there watching them play. So you just never know. And Glen Island, even though, they had a couple of slip-ups, they're still showing that they're competitive.
And they're QB, man.
Oh, my God, right. So it's just so much. And then you got to remember, TJ still hanging around, trying to figure it out, So I just love it that you don't just have one team that you just have to focus on. It's everybody, and I love it across the board because that's what we want. We want the 804 to showcase their talent, showcase these kids, these coaches, and everybody. So I love it. This has been a very, very good year for me.
You brought up the privates on that side with Trinity. St. Chris is who I want to focus in on because they've got a kid that I think everyone's been talking about. He was our talk of the town student athlete to begin the year because, oh, by the way, in the offseason commits to South Carolina. Darius Gray's been fantastic. He can run for some touchdowns too. He can block for some touchdowns. But St. Chris to start this season off, do you think they finally have what it takes to break through and win the state title in their division?
I would say, go ahead. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm gonna add to that. No disrespect to Coach Cleveland, great team. Benedictine's the team to beat in Visa. So much talent. I mean, tight end just got an offer to Northwestern and Miami.
Woo! Two very different schools.
Yeah, but he's even got offers to Alabama and that kind of stuff. Big offensive line. Maddox Cochran going to Wisconsin. Ben Streak transferring back from IMG. Why he did it, I don't know, but. Either way, that team is so fast and so ready to compete, even with Greg Lilly stepping down and replacing himself with Kurt Von Bargen. Von Bargen's had that train moving, and I'm excited to see when they play Gonzaga in a few weeks at Gonzaga because call me crazy, but I'm calling for the upset.
Yeah, I have to say with St. Chris, to answer your question, it's a wait and see. I think it's going to be, based off just the surface level, it's going to be a tough task for Trinity Benedictine. Trinity wants their revenge from what happened to Benedictine. Trinity was up big in that game.
Yep.
And Benedictine came back. So anything is possible. And we have our Kevin Garnett moment. Anything is possible, but I don't know. It's going to be a big munch in my eyes. So I'm going to take the Philip Twine represent. We'll see. We just have to wait and see.
Okay. Well, for St. Chris on that note, with Huguenot opening the season up with that game, how big is that type of showdown to begin the season here for the 804?
Who want to take that?
I'll take it. I think it's an excellent matchup, honestly, because, Coach Scott over at Huguenot, he's got his kids, crap ton of Power 5 kids.
Like Manchester, they're just hanging 50-plus with ease every single week.
But, when you got the speed they do, Avion Lewis outside, 4-star receiver, Markel Dabney, dual threat, running back, linebacker, committed to Michigan. His son, 6'5", cannon for an arm. And even the backs in the backfield with Randall Robinson and all the other guys they got, even sleeper. And I like this kid because I watched him do a hurdle against, I think it was Cosby, Najarn Bostic. He was a transfer from Colonial Heights, but that kid's electric, and I'm excited to see. He's a junior this year. I'm excited. I think he's got the talent to get some D1 offers by the end of the season.
I'll say, and I'll go because the public versus private school conversation is always a big one. And I think over the years, in the past years, you wouldn't say the 804 private schools hold any weight, but now you look at Benedictine, like you said, at Trinity. So to get a matchup like that week one, and to be honest, everybody in this room, nobody picked St. Chris to win. So that's an even bigger step for them. Like you said, them going down the road, just them building confidence. So when they face a Benedictine, they don't go into it shell-shocked. They're like, we faced a Huguenot. We've seen talent. Now we can play and can we slow the game down and make people adjust to us? So huge matchup.
And I would just add to that too, Huguenot understands we have a gauntlet coming up in the playoffs. Yep. We have Arana, we have Louisa. You know what I mean? We got Dinwiddie. So the regional semifinal is going to be a beast. And I think I appreciate all the 804 teams setting up strong strength of schedules up front because they're going to face a lot of, great teams later in the playoffs. Even Highland Springs has an FCA left. They have Phoebus left. They have Arana. Like Verona, Highland Springs, and all these teams had really great schedules that are going to set them up later down the road because ultimately the goal is to win the state championship. So whether it be private school or public school, your strength of schedule matters as your teams get better down the season. The coaching gets better, the kids execute better. But then as they get to the playoffs, it's like, well, we played teams better than this. We've done this before. So, and then that's why Verona and Dinwiddie is so interesting because last year Verona went to Dinwiddie and beat them and then went to state championship. Now, if Dinwiddie gets that number one seed again, possibly, that might be another rematch. But we'll see. Huguenot and Louisa say we got something to say about that as well.
Well, you brought up Louisa, and I want to talk on their 5-star running back that they've got, Savion Hyder, I think. I want to pronounce the name correctly.
That's right.
Louisa, man, they've got a pretty good running back, don't they?
Here we go.
This is going to be an interesting conversation, so I'm going to let Chase
Okay, so
go ahead, Chase. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Coach Brendan down here is a coach at Hayfield Secondary, and he coached, in his opinion, the best running back in the state of Virginia last year, Jeffrey Overton, who was, as he'll say, Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior. Savion is my favorite running back in this entire state. 6 foot tall, big, runs with power, and even Coach Gross said last night when he went in the ball against Midlow last year in the playoffs, he looked like he got shot out of a cannon. And you're not a 5-star commit to Michigan for no reason. Granted, I would have loved to see him come play for my Georgia Bulldogs, but I'm glad he's going to Michigan. He's going to do great things there. And I'm excited to see who Louisa plays the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be at that game because I want to see how he does.
I want to see if Louisa could take the next step. Them losing in, I think, the second round last year was very shocking to a lot of people in this region. So I want to see, like you said, when you have a 5-star running back and you have a, I think,
4-star
wide receiver, can you take that next step? Losing in the second round is disappointing, and I think for Louisa, it should be state championship or bust. They have a great coaching staff. They've been there for years, and let's be honest, like Dinwiddie, that's a home field advantage to go to Louisa. So can they, get past that second round, and then, like we said, make Region 4B? Anything could happen.
God. And then I would add to that too, when you have a guy like Savion, I would be thinking, like, can he make a run like Paul Robertson did with LC Bird? Paul Robertson with LC Bird went for over 1,100 yards and took LC Bird to the state championship. I think he's going to have to do something like that to actually win 4, because even if they get out of 4 region, they could probably wait for Phoebus in the state championship game. So if he can take that type of step, the defense is there too. They have to have the passing game to be able to respect that game as well. Then we can see what they can do. But I think it's going to take some type of Herculean effort like that to get it done.
I like it. I do want to rewind a little bit. You brought up Highland Springs earlier, and kind of a team that it's not necessarily shocking that they're off to a slow start. And I'm putting that in quotes because it's 1-2, but your losses are against a team from Charlotte, which is one of the better teams in North Carolina, and you played them very close. And then your Dinwiddie is an overtime loss, so you're 1-2, but it's
2-2.
2-2. They
beat South County,
destroyed South. Yeah, my fault on that one. My bad. I thought it was bye week. But with that, you're now 2-2. For Highland Springs, though, it's set up where they've tested themselves early on in the season. How important is it for the teams and for the coaches to kind of say, we don't want a 4-0 record and not be tested. We're okay with being 2-2, 1-2 at one point, but saying that we have been tested like that. Whoever wants to kind of open the floor on that one, you can go ahead.
And it's funny, like Larry always says, and Coach Johnson, you trust, and he's just so even keeled now. He's been in the game for 15 plus years. He's seen it all. He's been to state championships. And that staff he has there. So I think, like you said, them playing a nationally ranked team, them going up to South County, them scheduling Dinwiddie early, I think they'll be right in the mix in Class 5. And like we said, they went up to 6. They competed, and now they're back in 5. So I think for them, this early on in the season, they don't really trip on it because they're like, listen, we've been battle tested. Let's just get better as we go, not make things a big deal. And like we said, even the Dinwiddie game, all the people on Highland Springs are just like, it's just another game. So Lauren Johnson is still in that attitude into that team. Like you said, new kids and things like that, but it's always Highland Springs is going to be Highland Springs at the end of the day.
And I'm gonna say this. They're not done being tested because, as stated before, they still got Phoebus, they still got Friendship Collegiate, and they still have Verina. So
That's what brought me to the question, too, because you still got a gauntlet for they could have a poor record at the end of the year, but be one of the best teams in the area.
And especially being in 5C with the likes of Glen Allen, Hermitage, Highland Springs, and now it's looking like a new uprising and a rebound year for Meadowbrook under Coach Rudd. I mean, even if Highland Springs comes in as a 3 or a 4 seed, they're still probably the most tested 3 or 4 seed. And that's going to help them when they get to the Mauries, the Green Runs, the Stone Bridges, and all the teams up there, because they're going to be like, Hermitage may come in as the number 1 seed because they may win out, but do we really think Highland Springs isn't the best team in that region, even though a seed may say otherwise? Because honestly, when it comes to playoffs, the seed doesn't matter. All the seed means is you get a home game. I mean, does Lauren Johnson really care about a home game? I mean, I'm sure he wants one, but he can go in and handle business wherever the heck he goes.
That is true. We're talking about a team that, four-peated from 2015 to 2018, won it all in 2022. They've been battle tested. And then, people said, it's the demise of Highland Springs. Well, they went 9-4 last year, went to the regional championship game. Every game they lost to was a state champion or a state runner-up in Verona. So, everybody they just reload, right? And so they know with this young team, we got to get them battle tested early. The only thing will be later on down the road is maybe in the state semifinals, they might have to travel. But with all the games they would have had to get them prepared for that, they'll be ready to take on that challenge. So Highland Springs, I'm not concerned about at all. They schedule these things for a reason. Harry Lee, the AD there, Harry Lee Daniel, and Coach Johnson, they know what they're doing, and they get everything set up. So Highland Springs, I have no concern about. They'll be ready to go when it's time.
And all I'm gonna say is what Brendan just quoted: "In Coach Johnson, I trust."
That's always a good bet to make. I do want to now open up a can of worms that I feel like is going to be a pretty fruitful one, where we're talking a lot about these players around the 804 in the Central Virginia area, and it's this 5-star kid, this 4-star kid, this talent, that talent. Why do you think in the world of college recruiting, the Central Virginia region, the 804, sometimes gets pushed behind the 757 or maybe the Northern Virginia area? Why do you feel like
that's all you, buddy?
Sometimes that 804 may not be as thoroughly respected as maybe in other regions around Virginia?
You want to take that before I go into it? Because I know you're going to go in the way you go.
Go, Phil.
I believe with the 804, you have to understand, you have to battle with teams to know this, right? So even though I'm a 757 guy, my dad is coached at Oscar Smith, Indian River, and now currently at Deep Creek with my brother being the head coach. We had a lot of battles with 804. A lot of respect for 804 is going back as far as 94 when they beat Patrick Henry Ashley beat Deep Creek in 94, right? Thomas Dale, when they got their own state championship, beat a Phil Sims led squad in overtime in 09 the state semifinals to win the state championship. I think 804 doesn't get the knowledge and things that they need to be because people don't really study. They don't research and really see what they're actually doing. When Virginia Tech made their runs, it was a combination of 804, 757, and Northern Virginia guys. Yep. And all of those guys were going there, Marshall Harris, all those guys. So the reality of it is the 804 doesn't really get the shine that they need to because people only stay in their local area. They don't research what else is going out throughout the state. I'm blessed to be able to live in Northern Virginia. I'm in 804, but I'm from the 757. So you got a little bit of everything. I'm a little bit of everything, but it's just more so too. My dad's made a lot of runs with Smith, the 3 state championships and one with Indian River. So they've had a lot of playoff runs with a lot of Northern Virginia teams and 804 teams. So there's mad respect there because we understand you're going to have to beat them. The game plan's there, the players are there. You have to execute at a high level. And I just believe that people, if they stay only in their local areas, they don't really see how great 804 is. Our live studio audience here in the Ortho Virginia studio.
That was gospel. I couldn't have said it better myself.
And I'll probably just say this, like location wise too. 804 is the smaller region out of the other two,
and which is crazy because the 804 is. Look, this is the first year we're hosting the show. We're doing our high school coverage. Man, I was going through all the 804 area code. And I'm like, all right, I got this school. Wait, there's this there's this school. There's more schools. Goodness. Sorry, go ahead.
And then, like you said, it's just doing your research and things like that. Because now, if you look at it, the 804 has represented, and we're talking within the last 5 years, they have a state champion in at least one of the divisions every year, pretty much. Yep. And when the 757 people, when they talk about things, it's always back then. But if we look at now, 804 has been top notch. And like you said, when you look at Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech was led when they were at their heyday, hopefully they get back right. Frank Beamer, they get back to there, but they had 804 guys, 703 guys, and 757. So and even sometimes Northern Virginia doesn't get the rap that 757 does. And if we look at it, Northern Virginia has put out state champions just like 757. So over the last 5 to 10 years, 804 and 703, that Northern Virginia region has caught up to the 757. So
Yeah, just to echo what they were saying, Phil, you and Brendan, y'all couldn't have said it anymore, but it's these fanboys and these fangirls that in the 757 that want to lead the charge.
Hamptons with the Ronald Curry.
Hey, marketing works, man.
Yeah,
if you've got your group, you've got it on lock.
But this is why Ballin and VA is here, is because we shut it down. And that's what we do. It was, they got to go, like Brendan said, you got to go back 30 years. And then they want to think, and every time when a 757 outside of Phoebus and Oscar Smith, what really have you done?
They'll bring up the Ronald Currys, the Allen Iverson.
Yeah, they ain't walking through that door.
Exactly.
They ain't walking through that door. you may see, Allen Iverson maybe around, promo and whatever stuff like that. Ronald Curry, he don't go back there.
Nope.
So what are y'all waiting for?
Yeah.
So like you said, when you got Westfield who won 3 years in a row, beat Oscar Smith 3 times in a row. Okay, where you at? Then L.C. Bird came here. We knocked the door down. Bird said no more. Hermitage was on the door, but Hermitage couldn't get over that hump. Yep. They couldn't beat Battlefield.
Yeah.
So and I was at that game. So then you got from Bird, it transitioned over to Highland Springs. Highland Springs just took it to a whole new level.
Yep.
And then, of course, after that, then you may have, I think it was Maury won a couple of times, Stonebridge, whatever. But Highland Springs was still showing what it was. 757, where you at? Because outside of Phoebus, you got two championships with Oscar Smith, the 2018, and then Maury, stuff like that. But outside of that, we've shown that we've had balance.
Yep.
The players, look at the players that we have produced that's been put.
That's what I like. Just going through all the stuff we were saying. Oh, this kid.
Right.
This kid.
You don't hear. Yeah. You see guys, or like you tell them where they at. Where's the? If you said it's like with Jay-Z famous quote. If you made Hove, make another Hove. Then make another Ronald Curry. Make another Michael Vick. Michael Vick was just an average football player when he was there. Warwick didn't win nothing. But they want to glorify him like he was the god in high school. He made his mark at Virginia Tech.
Yep.
But see, those are the fanboys because the people who are for real, down in 757, they understand. You don't hear them talking. The greats don't talk.
They're waiting for them to win another state title, and then they'll start talking.
Then they start talking. But again, Phoebus is really the only one that has been consistently winning.
Yeah. Yes.
So like I said, I ain't trying to hit it.
I knew it would open up a can of worms.
I'm gonna say this. And don't get me wrong, the 757's been great. I mean, you got guys like Percy Harvin from Lansdowne, and you got
Percy Harvin ruined my Seahawks. Terrible trade. Terrible trade.
Ronald Curry from Hampton, Allen Iverson from Bethel, and
Cam Chancellor, Seahawks.
Yeah, they got the names.
No,
yeah, but let's see. Let's rifle off some 804 names. Trey Henderson, now Savion Hyder. You got who's the Keitrell Clark from Manchester in 2018, who's now playing in the NFL. Greg Dortch, Juice Wells,
Kayvon Wallace.
Yeah, Kayvon Wallace, Mekhi Becton. Like, let's really compare apples to apples. Sure, 757, if any of y'all ever listen to this or in town to listen to this, but you had your heydays in the 90s and the early 2000s, but it's our time now. And to quote the great Ty White from John Marshall Basketball.
Yeah, and that's the thing, So we just, 757. We respect you guys.
Yeah.
We're a Virginia thing, but they just want to talk about that.
Hey, I knew it would open up a can of worms. I love it. I think that's the perfect way to finish our conversation today. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. We got to do this again shortly as the season rolls on. Appreciate it. We're going to get to a quick break. Be back to wrap up this Wednesday edition of Fitz the Bill.
Looking for the perfect golf course? Check out RVA's best kept secret, Queenfield Golf Club, just a few minutes past Mechanicsville. Reserve your tee time today at queenfieldgolf.com.
Progressive knows there's so many great things about being a sports fan. Like scoring the company box seats. How great is that? Trick plays that actually work. Prevent defense when your team is winning by a lot. And even more preventative prevent defense as they're hanging on by a thread. And of course, saving money when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's pretty great. Just like trick plays that actually work.
Yeah, but how often does that happen?
Complaining about sports? Not so great. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
The John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul. All in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Online at hermanallenplumbing.com.
Looking for a neighborhood service station that can provide premium fuel for your car, auto repairs, and friendly advice? Stop by the family-owned Bon Air Show, 8762 West Huguenot Road.
A Progressive home and auto bundle can protect you round the clock, but we can't protect you from those painful moments in sports.
I can't believe they're moving the team to another city.
True, but you'll never forget all the joy they brought into your life.
Joy? They made the playoffs twice in 50 years.
Gosh, those 2 times were pretty great, weren't they?
How would I know? I wasn't even born yet.
Just think of all the free time you'll have on game days.
Those games were the highlight of my week.
Well, at least your home and auto are protected with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Straight Talk presents the math of more. Here's how it works. When you say yes to more with Straight Talk, you're left with more for all the other good stuff. So getting an unlimited plan starting at just $25 a month equals more savings for your family's weekend adventures. And with a network covered by Verizon, you can share more from wherever you go. It's simple math, really. More equals more with Straight Talk. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. The $25 plan requires a compatible unlocked device and a new line of service. Additional terms apply.
Hey, it's Paul Sargent, owner of All Set Auto Richmond. How would you like the best paint protection film, ceramic coating, or window tint for your vehicle? At All Set Auto Richmond, we have the products, knowledge, and experience to enhance and protect your vehicle. I personally invite you to come over and visit us at All Set Auto Richmond. We're on Mayland Drive near 64 and Gaskins. Or feel free to Google us, All Set Auto Richmond. That's ALSET Auto Richmond. Protect your vehicle from the Richmond Road elements and the hot sun with All Set Auto Richmond.
World Class Courts is proud to be a featured sponsor of the 2025 River City Tennis Open, October 3rd to 5th at the University of Richmond West Hampton Courts. We specialize in providing everything you need for any type of tennis court, whether it's clay, hard, or hybrid surfaces. As a manufacturer and supplier, World Class Courts offers surfaces and equipment for every kind of tennis court. We invite you to come and see our recent resurfacing work at the University of Richmond. For more information, visit us online at worldclasscourts.com.
The Bentelli Fall Sales Event is on now through October 31st. Great selection of LSVs and special finance rates are available. Cruise your neighborhood in style with a street-legal low-speed vehicle from Richmond LSV. Bluetooth sound system, seatbelts, and lithium batteries are all standard equipment. Schedule a test drive today during the Bentelli Fall Sales Event at richmondlsv.com or text 804-363-4351. Fun, fully charged.
Progressive knows there's so many great things about being a sports fan. Like scoring the company box seats. How great is that? Trick plays that actually work. Prevent defense when your team is winning by a lot. And even more preventative prevent defense as they're hanging on by a thread. And of course, saving money when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's pretty great. Just like trick plays that actually work.
Yeah, but how often does that happen?
Complaining about sports? Not so great. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
The John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul, all in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
PGA Ryder Cup leaderboard updates are brought to you by Richmond LSV's Fall Bentelli Sales Event now through October 31st. Low-speed vehicle special financing details online at richmondlsv.com.
Evan Canty and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Before, when stuff like this happened with the Patriots or the Astros, it's cheaters to champions. And it feels like with Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, we're just kind of like, okay, yeah, they cheated, but they still won. I don't know why with this specific instance, we're not as outraged as we have been in the past when it comes to other cheating to championship scandals.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
We're more than a station. We're a sports community. Braves, Spiders, NFL, NBA, MLB, NASCAR, talk shows, big games, local heroes. 106.1 ESPN Richmond is where Richmond talks sports. Want your brand in the mix? Advertise with us today. Call 804-330-5700 or email espnrva@summitmediacorp.com.
Hey, my name is Wally Rayner, former NFL linebacker. Wahoo Wah. Hey, I'm here in Richmond. And when I'm riding around, I listen to Border to Border at 106.1 ESPN.
The Rich Eisen Show. Do you think Mahomes is sitting around pissed about whatever that story is being written?
It's so hard to get to a Super Bowl. And Tom Brady would say the same thing. So my guess is that's the thing that probably gnaws on him pretty good, that he's lost a couple. Fortunately for me, I didn't lose one.
You see how I smiled when he said he never lost?
By the way, fortunately, I never lost a Super Bowl.
The Rich Eisen Show from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN Plus, and on Disney Plus.
Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill as we wrap up this Wednesday edition right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond. Live from the Ortho Virginia studio.
Nah. Talk your trash, man. 804 in the building, man. They got me hyped.
You were about to run through a brick wall.
For real, man. Anytime we can slander the 757, I'm here for it,
You
man.
said 757. So
Dallas Cowboys
what
are
you're
high school
telling me
football.
is, I mean,
that's what you is.
I didn't hear any lies on what they said.
No, they right. I never thought about it, but they right. I do go way back in the time machine to talk about some of their
Don't
players.
say that in the 757, but
I mean, I'm
here in the 804. We're good to go.
I made my call in making the 757, man. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at NFL players right now, it's talking strictly football. If you're talking NFL players right now, the 804 has the edge over the 757.
Yeah, and again, what did they say? Rising tide lifts all boats. I think collectively, the state of Virginia high school football is taking a big jump.
Oh, huge. I mean, we were talking about it throughout, and it was just like, oh, the 5-star at Louisa, the 5-star at St. Chris. You've got this 4-star receiver. You've got this 3-star quarterback. You've got this quarterback taking Division I visits every weekend. Like the talent throughout the 804 and throughout Virginia is pretty deep.
Yeah, so it makes for obviously great content, but it makes for a good representation of what we have for athletes in the state as a whole. I think they were talking when we were at Thomas Dale, they were talking about Sir Paul and his overall speed, as a track athlete.
Yeah.
It's funny because, there's football speed, there's track speed, but, the in the 757, that was the example at that time, but they were like, this guy's the fastest guy in the state. And Sir Paul comes down there and laces him up. And then it's like, all right, maybe he wasn't that fast. But the idea that you branch out more, you learn more about each other, and it really does make you better. Because like I said, every locale plays football a different way.
Yeah. Everyone's got their own style.
Yeah.
Like everyone's got their own style. Talk of the Town right here on Fitz the Bill, brought to you by Dave & Buster's and Short Pump. Grab some food, crush a few arcade games, and maybe brag about your big win. We are where Richmond talks sports. They are where Richmond comes to play. Dave & Buster's and Short Pump, 4001 Brownstone Boulevard, Suite 101. Talk of the Town, also presented by Ortho Virginia. With 12 offices conveniently located in the Richmond area, you can visit orthovirginia.com or call 804-915-1910 to discover why stronger starts here. So much insight, man. Like what Chase was able to just the names Chase has, I'm always thoroughly impressed when you are covering something so vast as high school football in the 804 and you're able to just recite the name, like what position at every single team is. Like that was very impressive for me. So appreciate Chase, Lee, Brendan, and Phillip coming in from the Ball and VA podcast. Fantastic insights and a lot of names that Chase got.
No, yeah, you need a team to cover all of high school.
Yeah, you need even with the 4 guys here, they probably they cover all. A couple of them located here in the Richmond area, but they cover all of Virginia football.
I'm still amazed how CBS 6 does it with their 2 guys.
Their 2 guys, a couple freelancers out there as well. But even then,
I don't know how they do it. They cover every single thing. That's wild. I do our one game with you, and I got to sleep all day Saturday to recover. I don't know how they do it, man.
Yeah, we're out. Well, it's because we got a tent we set up. They don't set up a tent.
That's true.
Hey, but if you're out at the Atlee game this Friday night, Atlee playing host to Hanover, we'll be out at that game. Really looking forward to it, getting out there for the first time this season. So Atlee Hanover is our game this weekend. We'll be setting up a tent. If you see the tent, wave us down, say hi. We love to chat.
Great pick, man. I think both locations about 15 minutes from my house instead of an hour.
Yeah, exactly, man. Thomas Dale was far, and then what? Midlow was on the opposite side of town when you're coming from Colonial Downs.
Dude, my son was like, I came home that night. He said, I thought NFL was on Sundays. I was like, yeah, it seemed like I went to DC, doesn't it? I was like, it's just traffic and whatnot. But I enjoy the atmosphere. I'm a purist when it comes to high school football, man. Again, coming from Amherst, that was our lifeline of entertainment on Fridays. Fridays were bigger than Sundays. I think a lot of areas, not just Richmond, in the state of Virginia like that. So I'm happy that we're covering it and happy to see the athletes getting their shine. And I did let Dinwiddie know they were the literal talk of the town at the beginning of the segment. They are on the map. But with
I did not expect that. Who's the team that's impressed you the most? Everyone said Dinwiddie.
Because I think a lot of people were under the same impression. You got a kid that went to USC.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to replace that? Yeah.
And man, Zion Boyso, he is balling at quarterback for him.
Make me feel old, Zion.
Yeah. Former teammate. His dad, your former teammate.
His dad was the young guy.
We had a text in. To be fair, the 757 won class 4, 5, and 6 last year. Oscar Smith, Maury, and Phoebus.
I knew it was coming.
In fairness, what they did say was, at the exception of the Oscar Smiths, Maurys, and Phoebuses, who are perennial contenders, everyone else in the 757, which is a massive area, have really failed to compete at a higher level, unlike the 804 where you've got parity across it. Appreciate you for tuning in on this Wednesday. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. In the meantime, keep it locked to 106.1 ESPN Richmond, where Richmond talks sports. We've got Atlanta Braves baseball this afternoon. You don't want to miss it as they look to string together a couple wins to finish out the season. Right here, 106.1 ESPN Richmond. Fitz the Bill.
From the ESPN studio, presented by Ortho Virginia. Find one of Ortho Virginia's orthopedic locations at Ortho